An age-old saying, "You are what you eat," holds particularly true for those dealing with arthritis. In its early stages, arthritis can make everyday tasks a bit bothersome. Joint stiffness can hinder your ability to grip, bend, reach, and lift. In more advanced stages, it becomes painful and disabling. Arthritis is a widespread condition marked by joint inflammation, swelling, stiffness, and reduced range of motion. While there are over 100 types of arthritis targeting various body parts, they all have one thing in common: inflammation. Osteoarthritis, the most common form, occurs as cartilage breaks down over time due to wear and tear or injury. Before resorting to more drastic measures, or as a complement to your treatment, paying attention to your diet can help alleviate pain and stiffness. Here are 10 foods notorious for promoting inflammation and worsening arthritis symptoms. 10. Added sugars. Cutting down on sugar is a good idea for everyone, especially if you're dealing with arthritis. Sugars are sneaky and hide in all sorts of foods, not just the obvious ones like candy and soda. You can find them in barbecue sauce, salad dressings, and even ketchup. Why should you watch your sugar intake, especially if you have arthritis? Well, eating too much sugar can trigger your body to release inflammatory proteins called cytokines. People with arthritis already have high levels of these cytokines, so adding more inflammation to the mix can make things feel even worse. Plus, if you're dealing with osteoarthritis, too much sugar can lead to more joint pain, stiffness, and swelling. In one study, people with rheumatoid arthritis found that sugary sodas and desserts seem to be the biggest culprits for making their symptoms worse. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, suggests that you keep added sugars to less than 10% of your daily total calories. For example, if you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, try limiting sugars to more than 200 calories, which equals about 12 teaspoons of sugar. It's easy to underestimate how much sugar you're eating, especially because it's hidden in so many everyday foods. That's why it's super important to read labels carefully and pay attention to the ingredient list to keep track of your sugar intake. 9. Red meat. When it comes to protein, red meats like beef, lamb, and pork tend to be higher in fat, especially saturated fat, compared to white meats and plant-based options. They also contain omega-6 fatty acids, which can fuel inflammation if you eat too much of them. For instance, people who munch on red and processed meats often have higher levels of markers for inflammation, like interleukin-6, C-reactive protein, and homocysteine. In a study with people who had rheumatoid arthritis, red meat was a common culprit for making symptoms worse. But here's the flip side. Plant-based diets, which skip red meat, could help ease arthritis symptoms. A review from 2019 found that people with arthritis who ditched red meat in favor of plant-based meals saw improvements in their symptoms. So if you're looking to calm down inflammation and ease those achy joints, loading up on veggies and skipping the red meat might be the way to go. Number 8. Oil and fried foods. Not all fats are made equal. While good fats, like those found in avocados, olive oil, and nuts, are important for your health, eating too much of the bad fats can crank up inflammation and harm your overall well-being. These unhealthy fats are found in foods like butter, cheese, meat, fried goodies, and processed foods. Now, let's talk about dietary advanced glycation end products, AGEs. AGEs are molecules that form when sugars and proteins or fats react, and they can cause trouble when they build up in your body. You'll find them in high-protein, high-fat animal foods that are cooked in certain ways. Think bacon, grilled steak, fried chicken, hot dogs, fries, and even some cheeses, margarine, and mayo. When your body accumulates too many AGEs, it can lead to oxidative stress and inflammation, which aren't good news, especially if you have arthritis. People with inflammatory arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis, tend to have higher levels of AGEs in their bodies compared to those without arthritis. Plus, AGE buildup in your bones and joints might play a role in the development and progression of osteoarthritis. The good news is that you can cut back on AGEs by swapping out those high AGE foods for healthier options like veggies, fruits, legumes, and fish. By making these smart swaps, you can reduce the total load of AGEs in your body and ease inflammation, which can go a long way in managing arthritis symptoms and keeping you feeling your best. 7. Gluten. Gluten is a type of protein present in grains such as wheat, rye, and barley. For some people, consuming gluten can lead to inflammation in the body. This effect might be even more pronounced for people dealing with autoimmune disorders like celiac disease or rheumatoid arthritis. If gluten tends to set off a flare-up, steering clear of it probably is your best bet. People with celiac disease, a condition where gluten triggers an immune response that damages the small intestine, also have a higher risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis compared to those without celiac disease. While the research on this is still pretty limited, it's something worth keeping an eye on if you're dealing with arthritis. 6. Alcohol. When it comes to alcohol and arthritis, there's a bit of a back and forth. Some say it might help arthritis, while others argue that it can make symptoms worse. Here's the lowdown. Moderate alcohol consumption, emphasis on moderate, has been linked to reducing inflammation, which could lower your risk of developing arthritis. There's been research showing that moderate drinking might decrease the risk of rheumatoid arthritis. One study even found that women who drank more than 3 glasses of alcohol a week had half the risk of developing RA compared to those who didn't drink at all. But on the flip side, knocking back too much alcohol can crank up inflammation in the body. Research suggests that overdoing it with alcohol can cause a spike in the levels of C-reactive protein, or CRP, a marker of inflammation. And when you're dealing with arthritis, more inflammation is definitely not what you want. Now, here's an important thing to keep in mind. If you're taking certain medications for arthritis, like methotrexate, your liver is already working hard to process them. So it's a good idea to go easy on the alcohol to give your liver a break and make sure your medicines are doing their job properly. 5. Processed foods. Those convenient snacks and ready-to-eat meals are a recipe for inflammation. They're packed with ingredients like sugar, refined flour, and saturated fats, which might make them taste amazing, but aren't so great for your health. And when it comes to ultra-processed items like fast food, breakfast cereal, and baked goods, they're even worse. They contain refined grains, preservatives, and other not-so-great ingredients that can make arthritis symptoms worse. Research suggests that chowing down on highly processed foods can fuel inflammation and obesity, which is a risk factor for rheumatoid arthritis. The bottom line is that when you're cruising the supermarket aisles, always look at the nutrition fact label and the ingredient list on processed foods. Making smart choices can help you avoid ingredients that might aggravate your rheumatoid arthritis symptoms and keep inflammation in check. 4. Purine-containing foods. Gout is a type of arthritis known for causing sudden and painful attacks in one or more joints. During a gout flare-up, the affected joint can become red, swollen, and super tender to the touch. If you've been diagnosed with gout, your doctor might advise you to steer clear of foods that are high in purines. Why? Because when you eat foods containing purines, they get turned into uric acid in your body. And if you have too much uric acid hanging around, it can lead to a gout flare-up. Purines are compounds found in certain foods, and when your body breaks them down, they can raise your uric acid levels. Too much uric acid can then form crystals that build up in your joints, causing those painful gout symptoms. So, what food should you avoid if you're dealing with gout? Well, think of organ meats, like liver and kidneys, along with beer and other alcoholic beverages. Preserved meats, such as ham, bacon, or deli slices, are also on the list of purine-rich foods to watch out for. 3. Salty foods. If you're dealing with arthritis, cutting back on salt might be a smart move. Foods high in salt, like shrimp, canned soup, pizza, certain cheeses, and processed meats, can potentially worsen arthritis symptoms. Research indicates that consuming high amounts of sodium may heighten the risk of autoimmune diseases like inflammatory arthritis. So if you're looking to manage arthritis symptoms, keeping an eye on your salt intake could be a helpful step in the right direction. 2. Dairy. Despite being rich in nutrients like calcium and protein, dairy products contain casein that may contribute to inflammation in the body. To reduce inflammation in the joints, it's advisable to limit dairy consumption, especially of high-fat options like cheese, butter, cream cheese, margarine, and mayonnaise, which are also high in saturated fats and advanced glycation end products, AGEs, known inflammation triggers. However, some dairy products, particularly fermented ones like Greek yogurt, may have anti-inflammatory properties, especially for individuals not sensitive to cow's milk. And finally, number 1, refined carbohydrates. White flour products like white bread, white pasta, and crackers are classified as refined carbohydrates or refined grains. These foods can cause a quick rise in blood sugar levels, which leads to heightened inflammation in the body. Moreover, for individuals with gluten sensitivities, consuming wheat products can exacerbate joint pain and inflammation, adding another layer of consideration when it comes to grain consumption. Making healthier food choices doesn't have to mean giving up all the tasty stuff. Sometimes, just making a few simple swaps can make a difference. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay tuned for more health tips and tricks.